Monday, 27th March 1944. Dear Kitty, one very big chapter of our history in hiding should really be about politics. But as this subject doesn't interest me personally very much, I'd rather let it go. So for once, I will devote my whole letter to politics only, to politics today. It goes without saying that there are very many different opinions on this topic, and it's even more logical that it should be a favorite subject for discussion in such critical times. But it's just simply stupid that there should be so many quarrels over it. They may speculate, laugh, abuse, and grumble. Let them do what they will, as long as they stew in their own juice and don't quarrel, because the consequences are usually unpleasant. The people from outside bring with them a lot of news that is not true. However, up till now, our radio set hasn't lied to us. Henk, Mir, Kupschis, Ellie, and Krayler all show ups and downs in their political moods, Henk least of all. Political feeling here in the secret annexee is always about the same. During the countless arguments over invasion, air raids, speeches, etc., one is always hearing countless cries of impossible. Or Gottes Willen, if they are going to start now, however long is it going to last? They were waiting to be liberated. It's going splendidly, first class, good. Optimists and pessimists, and above all, don't let's forget the realists who give their opinions with untiring energy. And just as with everything else, each one thinking he is right, it annoys a certain lady that her spouse has such unparalleled faith in the British, and a certain gentleman attacks his lady because of her teasing and disparaging remarks about his beloved nation. They never seem to tire of it. I have discovered something that affects us stupendous, just like pricking someone with a pin and waiting to see how they jump. This is what I do begin on politics. One question, one word, one sentence, and at once they are off. Just as if the German Wehrmacht news bulletins and the English BBC were not enough, they have now introduced special air raid announcements. In one word, magnificent, but on the other hand, often disappointing too. The British are making a non-stop business of their air attacks with the same zest as the Germans make a business of lying. The radio therefore goes on early in the morning and is listened to at all hours of the day until 9, 10, and often 11 o'clock in the evening. This is certainly a sign that the grown-ups have infinite patience, but it also means that the power of absorption of their brains is pretty limited, with the exceptions, of course. I don't want to hurt anyone's feelings. 1 or 2 news bulletins would be ample per day. But the old geese, well, I've said my piece. Arbeiter program radio, Orange, Frank Philip, or Her Majesty Queen Wilhelmina, they each get their turn and an ever attentive ear. And if they're not eating or sleeping, then they're sitting round the radio and discussing food, sleep, and politics. Oh, it gets so boring. And it's quite a job not to become a dull old stick oneself. Politics can't do much more harm to the parents. I must mention one shining exception. A speech by our beloved Winston Churchill is quite perfect. 9 o'clock on Sunday evening, the teapot stands with the cozy over it on the table and the guests come in. Dussel next to the radio on the left, Mr. Van Deen in front of it with Peter beside him, Mummy next to Mr. Van Deen and Mrs. Van Deen behind him. And Pim at the table, Margot and I beside. I see I haven't described very clearly how we sit. The gentlemen puff away at their pipes. Peter's eyes are popping out of his head with the strain of listening, Mummy wearing a long, dark negligee and Mrs. Van Daan trembling because of the planes, which take no notice of the speech but fly blithely on towards Essen. Daddy sipping tea, Margot and I united in a sisterly fashion by the sleeping Mushi who's monopolizing both our knees. Margot's hair is in curlers. I'm wearing a night dress which is much too small, too narrow and too short. It all looks so intimate, snug, peaceful, and this time it is too, yet I await the consequences with horror. They can hardly wait till the end of the speech, stamping their feet, so impatient are they to get down to discussing it. Brr, 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 they egg each other on until the arguments lead to discord and quarrels. Yours, Anne. This is about living in hiding. And of course, you know, this is this world-famous book, Anne Frank's Diary, a book of history, a book of literature, a book of emotions, a book of poetic grace and beauty and human dignity, even though it's so painful. This wonderful, admirable girl in her early teens maintaining a diary that survived, although she perished in the Holocaust. And it's so pertinent to read it today. Thank you for listening.